So there are two primary ways people are going to be experiencing Atmos in headphones right now. There is the Dolby binaural version, which is what we have control over in the renderer with the binaural settings. And then there is Apple's spatial audio version. Apple's version, basically, they are taking a 7.1.4 version of the Atmos mix, and then they are kind of virtualizing it into a space. And a big reason why Apple uses their own version of binaural and doesn't use the Dolby version that we actually have control of as engineers, the reason Apple does that is because in Apple devices, you can get head tracking, and head tracking can improve the experience sometimes when you are listening to immersive audio content. Sometimes just even the little kind of moves of your head, those have an impact on your experience listening. But for those of us who are working Atmos, we know that these sound very different. So today, I'm going to just play you some examples between the two because I've got the Dolby renderer so that we can listen to Dolby's binaural. And then thanks to Audio Movers, I have this binaural renderer for Apple Music so that we can listen to what would happen to something when it gets into spatial audio. So I just have a guitar example here. I think I've used this before in videos. And I'm going to just kind of do a little pan move, and there's going to be some interesting things here. So first up, here is Dolby's version, and I have this guitar routed to an object that is set to near in the binaural settings. So grab your headphones because it's going to be binaural day. So here we go. This is Dolby's binaural near. So just have a little pan move going from front to back. It's not very obvious in the Dolby binaural with it set to near. Now let's listen to this same little bit and this same move in the Apple spatial audio. Headphones on. Right off the bat, you can just hear this sounds nothing like the Dolby version. And what I'll do is I'm going to flip back and forth between the two of them for you while it's moving, and then you'll be able to really hear the difference. We'll start in the Dolby binaural, and then I'll go to the Apple spatial. So they're different. They're definitely different. So now I'm going to change the Dolby binaural settings and let's listen to what happens. So that was in near. Now I'm going to switch it over to mid. Now I'm going to play the same thing back in the Dolby binaural, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of swap through all of the different binaural settings so that you can hear what is near, mid, and far. What do they kind of sound like. So start on near and then you'll see. So you can kind of hear how it sort of changes the space on things. Now, something I want to point out here, because this is the only time this happens. I've talked about this a lot, about how Dolby Atmos does not emulate proximity to things. And for the most part, that's true, except in this one case. If I set an object to far, it will change as it gets closer to the center of the room. So check this out. I know you're going, Dave, you said it doesn't emulate proximity, and then you just demonstrated that. And yeah, this is the only time it does that. If you have an object and it's set to far, it'll do that. But as you heard in the Apple Spatial version, when your object's set to near, when it's set to mid, definitely when it's set to off. When it's set to off, it's like nothing is happening at all. Only when you're set to far, though, does it do that. It doesn't do that in the room. It doesn't do that in any other headphone mode. So this isn't a good idea to bank on that, because, you know, the headphone side of Atmos is a moving target. It is constantly changing and evolving, and everything that is happening with it is an attempt to sort of replicate the speaker experience in headphones. So don't bank on this. I just wanted to show you that there is a case that does it, but I wouldn't base a mix on this. I mean, most engineers I know, they're not using far objects very often. The last thing I'm going to do is I am going to go back and forth between Dolby's different binaural settings and Apple Spatial, so that you can listen and decide for yourself, does one of Dolby's binaural settings sound closer to Apple Spatial for you? So I'll start with the Dolby binaural near, and then I will flip over to Apple Spatial. So now I'll do a mid object. All right, now last here is a far object, A-B'd with Apple Spatial. So those are the different ways that people will experience Atmos in headphones. I think it's just good stuff to sort of have in the back of your mind a little bit as you are thinking about how things potentially translate. This Audio Movers plugin is great for kind of hearing what things are likely going to sound like when it gets to Apple Music. So there you go. Questions about Atmos, please leave a comment. Thanks for watching. I will talk to you soon.